And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special podcast today on the 30th day of August. And of course, it is a very special day. Today is Janam Ashtami. So let's join in the live feed.
बोला रूप तुम्हारा है मेरे मन को भाया, काम सताए मुझको देवी दे दो रति का दान। पवन रेखा तो उसकी असलियत ना पाई पहचान, करके वो मकसद पूरा फिर असली रूप में आया। भला बुरा फिर पवन रेखा ने उसको खूब सुनाया। बोला देवी भूल को मेरी कर देना तुम माफ, करता हूँ विनती तुमसे ना देना मुझको श्राप। कह कर तुमको बाझे ताने लोग सुनाते हैं, पावन कथा सुनाते हैं। जब जब पाप बढ़े धरती पर उसे मिटाते हैं, हम कथा सुनाते हैं।
हे श्री कृष्ण भगवान हम करें तुम्हें प्रणाम। हे श्री कृष्ण भगवान हम करें तुम्हें प्रणाम।
तुम ये राज दबा कर बाहर नहीं बताना, होगी प्राप्ति पुत्र रत्न की कोई न देगा ताना। बड़ा वीर और पराक्रमी बालक कहलाएगा, अपने बल से नौखंड धरती जीत दिखाएगा। इतना कहकर दर मलिक तो अंतर ध्यान हुआ, उग्रसेन को भी तो ना इस बात का ज्ञान हुआ। पवन रेखा के गर्भ से फिर तो पुत्र ने जन्म लिया, उग्रसेन भी पाकर सुत तो बड़ा ही हर्षित हुआ। भविष्य जानने को उसका पंडित बुलवाते हैं, पावन कथा सुनाते हैं। जब जब पाप बढ़े धरती पर उसे मिटाते हैं, हम कथा सुनाते हैं।
And once again, the very, very happy Janamastami to all. Of course, we know it's midnight India time, so is when the actual ceremonies will be. But tonight there will be lots of functions and events happening throughout. But as we right now know that in India the celebrations are taking place, and of course, unlike the Brisbane, there's always a lot of people queuing up for all the temples, and this is Mathura where you can see the devotees all lining up. So here we are so fortunate that we can go to the temples and go and take part in the puja. Look at the crowd there, just back to back. So it is very, very fortunate for us to be here in Brisbane. Well, of course, it is not the same. Because it is not Vrindavan. Of course, the atmosphere there is, of course, electrifying. It's always, but the point I'm trying to make is we are fortunate here that we have temples and mandirs where we can just go in. Even then people don't go, like you don't have to queue up or anything like that. It is so easy to go and attend and take part. So,
पावन कथा सुनाते हैं, जब जब पाप बढ़े धरती पर उसे मिटाते हैं, हम कथा सुनाते हैं।
हे श्री कृष्ण भगवान हम करें तुम्हें प्रणाम।
Yes, and now with all those kinds of bhajans going on throughout the day, and right now as you can see the crowd building up there in Vrindavan, and the preparation goes on for weeks, and there's so many people who come up to celebrate this. Krishna Janmashtami is celebrated at midnight, and Rama Avatar is celebrated at midday. there. We might come and join in later on, but later in the show we will be looking at Div Jyoti Jagriti Sansthan and their online, the virtual celebrations which will happen in India today. We can all join in. I'll give you all the timings and everything to join in on that as well. And I'd also like to wish Chandan Das a very, very special birthday today. Wow, sharing this birthday with Krishna ji, that is very important. And we've got something very special for you later in the show. Well, right now, let's move on and take a look at what's happening in and around the country. When there is pandemic and things like this, our communities, be it Sikh community, the Muslim community or Hindu community, every time there's something, our communities get together and start helping others within that community. So here is an example of what the Muslim community in Melbourne came up with, an idea to help the Muslim community.
It's often busy at Abukar's butcher shop. He's been a staple in Flemington for decades, but recently his services have been needed elsewhere.
We're going to go to Raganina. Tomorrow we're going to go to Dallas, the Bromidors area.
Abukar's been supported by community groups to deliver food to hundreds of Muslims who are isolating.
This is very hard. It's very hard, and what happened last time, other people was helping them, but they give the things they don't need it, So for us, it's more unique. So we got the halal, everything.
A few kilometres away, Anab has been supplying hot meals from her Somali restaurant. The state government is paying for some of the deliveries.
Any minute they can call us, can you please provide them 50 people for meal, and then we have to jump and do the whole thing all over again.
On the other side of the city, this halal food bank, led by volunteers, has been able to supply $180,000 worth of food since the pandemic began.
As soon as any form of Muslim demographic goes into lockdown, we will be called upon.
As you can see, this is a massive community effort. It's a different story from last year. Now with more support, these community groups can help hundreds in isolation. Some of the families Abukur and other organisations have been helping are now out of their isolation period. They say the support is appreciated.
Last year we have a real coffin. We didn't get any help, but this year we haven't got, but we was quarantined and we got help.
For Abukur, helping people to isolate safely is what's important. Last year, he lost his father-in-law to COVID.
Last year is a lot of our people passed away. They're gone. There's a lot of elderly people we know. So when you know the one, you're part of your family, your friends, your relative passed away, it touches you.
Ahmed Yusuf, ABC News, Melbourne.
And a perfect example of community coming together in needs of crisis. Well, it is wonderful to see that. Well, right now, let's go out west and look at the Rodeos. And of course, we know that all these kind of things are in dying art now. Many of the old traditional things that made Australia, the old wild west, was the west way. You went horse riding, the Rodeos and all these things took place. These are a dying art now because, of course, we welcome migrants coming in, and that's changing the demographic, and you see different things. Some of the good old traditional stuff is missing these days. So here's the youngsters showing off their skills, rodeo style.
Rodeo riding is one of the most dangerous sports in the world, but that doesn't stop children joining the competition.
Most of these kids grow up in the land and the country, and they're around it every day. It's part of their natural life, and they're driving cars, using firearms, that kind of stuff. It's what they grow up doing.
Dakota Watts is one of 160 riders at the Coolgardie Rodeo. The 14-year-old is one of 2 females competing in the steer riding event, and she's not afraid of getting hurt.
The worst I've had is 7 stitches, and I've got a hematoma in my leg from a bull standing on me, but it's not when you get hurt, it's how bad it is.
Dakota's 10-year-old brother fearlessly started the sport at age 6.
I started when my sister started, but I wasn't the right age when she started.
Despite the hard knocks, Dakota and Riley's parents are supportive. But there have been some nervous moments.
Oh, Mum, the second video of me bull riding, the video was going everywhere because she was shaking so much.
The riders say the sport is a mental game.
Sometimes I think about all my rides that I've rode time on, and that helps me get confident with my ride.
Dakota has big ambitions, with dreams to one day compete in an open bull riding event.
The open bulls, they buck a lot and they're like good bulls and well bred and everything. I would like to be the first female to ride open if I could.
Tackling rodeo barriers one ride at a time. Madison Snow, ABC News, Coolgardie.
And isn't that just so wonderful to see that? And the kids, fearless. They just get on there and get on with it. So these are some of the things that are, these days are dying hard. You don't see them a lot. There'll be very few people who would have probably gone to Bedsville and watched the races that take place there as well. But right now, let's talk about what we don't want to talk about, but we need to know because it's better that you know. So tracking the COVID-19 and the vaccine here in Australia.
Let's check on the progress of the vaccine rollout around the nation. Australia is a day away from having administered 19 million jabs after 220,000 doses were delivered in the latest reporting period. 18.9 million jabs have been put in arms since the beginning of the rollout, with almost 2 million of those in the last week. 57.5% of Australians over 16 have received at least one dose, while over 34% are fully immunised. Let's break those numbers down by jurisdiction. And Victoria had the highest increase of doses on a per capita basis today. It's now overtaken the Northern Territory on single-dose coverage as the pace of vaccination in Victoria accelerates. New South Wales is still leading the charge on single doses at 66% of the population. If the current pace of the rollout continues, both New South Wales and the ACT are expected to reach 70% first dose coverage in the first week of September. Every jurisdiction now has more than a third of its population fully inoculated, with the exception of Queensland and Western Australia. They're also the only jurisdictions yet to reach 50% single dose coverage as the vaccination race continues.
The update on the vaccination rates, and as we know that we are getting closer to that mark, to that magic figure as well, when the Prime Minister has said that they will look at implementing the next phase or the next stage of the rollout. We know that many areas are easing the restrictions, but the number of cases is still growing in Sydney and Melbourne. That is a bit of a concern. And of course, here in Queensland, the quarantine measures have changed a little bit because the hotels are at capacity. So, as the Premier announced that there has to be a different method as well. And Bundall Entertainment Centre has been also named as the mass vaccination centre. So, well, people could go and get the vaccinations done there as well. But right now, when we're looking at the gender gap in the workforce, these days women are taking on lots of jobs and lots of responsibilities, and of course what comes naturally is the meaning, women have to go through childbirth, they have to do the child raising as well, and all sorts of challenges that are faced in that workforce, but they're still out in the workforce. How do they do it? And what about the treatment and the pay equality and all that? So are women behind, or are they catching up?
Say Jack and Jill were both heading up the hill to fetch a pail of water. As graduate water collectors, Jack will earn on average 2.5% more than Jill, even though they both hold the same degree in water collection. Throughout their lives working full-time, Jack will earn 14.2% more than Jill on average, or $1 to Jill's 86 cents. Jill would be even further disadvantaged if she were Indigenous, earning a third lower in her median income than non-Indigenous Australians, or if she were living with a disability, making her twice as likely to be unemployed. Now, if Jill chooses to take time out to have a couple of kids and then works part-time, something much more common for women than men, Jack is more likely to be the next one up for a promotion. Jill's also got much less of a chance of climbing the corporate ladder. And at retirement, on average, Jack will retire with almost 30% more superannuation than Jill.
Jack and Jill went up the hill. So it is the way things are at the moment, but I think a lot of movement are taking place to make sure that women do have the equal rights. Well, we're talking about one organization which is White Ribbon. And at White Ribbon, we've always been advocating for women's safety. Well, when we talk about White Ribbon, so White Ribbon is not a front-end service provider, but White Ribbon's role is to raise awareness, to make sure that the domestic violence is not okay, and that even though it's women's, it is a men's business as well. So yesterday, there was a Sunday Soiree, which was organized by Chain Reaction Women's Cycling Group. So it was not a White Ribbon event, but it was an event which was organized by a group of women who go out cycling together. And they decided to hold a very high-class up-market function, raise funds, and not keep it, donate it. So the two groups that they donated to, one was, we were the recipients as White Ribbon, the other recipient was Traction. So we'll go and join this prize and have a look. So here's Brad, who is from South Australia, who's heading White Ribbon, and of course me as the chair co-chair for the Queensland. And of course it was wonderful to see that Brad could make it here as well. And for the amazing time and effort that he puts in, as you can see, the White Ribbon there, and of course the Traction. So this took place at Mercedes, and Mercedes-Benz of Brisbane donated their space there, and it is wonderful, as you can see, on Breakfast Creek, a very, very picturesque venue there as well. And it is always so wonderful to see that. And the spread was put out, and it was wonderful food and drinks that were being served to everyone who attended. Now, this is a function which was attended by many high-class corporate people. When I talk about high-class corporate people, so here you can see Bob Sarplus with me. Bob Sarplus is the co-owner of Springfield Lens. Everyone always sees Dr. Mahasinatambi, and they all know him, but he normally keeps around the back. So that gives an indication of the type of people who attended. It was a high-class function. People paid more than $100 to just come to a stand-up function. And of course, the tickets which went on sale, we were selling raffle tickets, $50 and $100, and no one winched or anything. They just supported the cause. So it's good to see. And as you can see, there were so many people who came out to support this wonderful, wonderful cause. Right now, let's hear from Tim from our White Ribbon as he makes his case on what the funds raised at this event going towards White Ribbon will go to, which is Breaking the Silence, the schools program. So here's Tim.
I would like you to all focus carefully on what I've got to say, because this is a personal story. I was very lucky to marry into a wonderful family. When you get married, it's kind of like potluck, isn't it? You never know whether you're going to get good parents on that side and good family members, and you sort of hope that you're going to get the right ones. Well, I was very lucky. I got a father-in-law who was an Anglican minister and a very wise and friendly, comforting man. And I got a kooky mother-in-law who is the salt of the earth. She would do anything for us. And on top of that, I got a sister-in-law. Brilliant, beautiful, funny, well received through the community, and she worked very hard in the as a chef. She was well respected and she could get a job just about anywhere. She helped my wife and I raise our two daughters, and she was very, very kind in spending a lot of time with those girls and sharing our lives. And we were very privileged to have her spend many years sharing our home. But then she ran into an old friend that she knew from high school. And that man was charming, he was brilliant, he had all the right words to say, and he invited her to come into his life. And you can imagine how she must have felt. She was being spoiled, treated like she was a princess, and she thought, this is it, this is fantastic. But after a while, things started to change in that relationship. And we have a couple of words for this kind of change that had happened. Some of us call it gaslighting. It's also known as coercive control. And if you don't understand what coercive control is, it's where the partner starts controlling the finances, starts telling that person what to wear, where to go, who to see, who to speak with, even down to when they should have sex, what they should eat for dinner, the whole thing. It's not violent. No, that's not domestic violence, is it? Think again. Coercive control is one of those things that's insidious. It starts working very slowly. It comes because that man may have a position in his life where he believes that he's more important than his partner. He has a sense of entitlement. After a few years, they'd had 3 children in very quick succession. And then one day we got that phone call we never want to receive. Rachel's life had been taken by her partner in front of her 3 children in a very violent domestic. Excuse me. I'm still very emotional even 13 years after. He believed that it was his right to keep control of her, to hold on to her no matter what the cost was. And Rachel paid the ultimate price for that. What it did to my in-laws, it absolutely destroyed them. It destroyed the 3 young children who were there. It changed my life and it changed the life of many other people that we know who were connected with Rachel. Because when somebody says, oh, I love you, I'll do anything for you, you think that that person will do the right thing. It's not always the case. Quite often, love is not love, but obsession. It's when a young man starts out and he's going to school and he learns from his mates, his friends, that he's the boss. Men are the boss. If you think about it, almost a quarter of all young people still believe it's okay to be in charge of their girlfriend's social contacts. They're allowed to check out their phone. If you look at all those young girls, 1 to 15, 1 in 6 may experience some sort of violence on a domestic level or a sexual level. Why? Because those young men that they meet in their lives have already been taught by their friends and their mates that it's okay. When I look back at why this guy did this to Rachel, I look back and I go all the way back to his childhood and I think, all of us when we were playing in the playground as little kids, did any of us have a sense that that person was different, you were more important than that person? No. When we're little kids, when we're about 2 or 3, we run around, everybody's the same, everybody's having fun. So what happens? We learn behaviour. As children, we're like sponges and we absorb all that information and we suddenly learn how to be a different person. We learn that the man is the one who's going to win all the money, he's going to be in charge of the finances, he'll make all the decisions. And then when they start hanging out with their mates as teenagers, oh mate, you're the boss, you've had 3 girls. Forget about what you call up and down. We have a double standard. Men are the guys who are in charge. They make the decisions. They're the smart ones. Well, I've got news for you. Most of us aren't that smart. And quite often, our girlfriends and our wives are a lot smarter than us. And I'm sure some of the guys in this room are going to agree. So if we're looking at how we were when we were little kids and how that guy got to the stage where he decided that it was okay for him to take the life of somebody, well, how do we change that? Aren't they going to listen to you as mums and dads? I tell you what, most of your teenagers and your kids are going to go, oh, Mum, Dad, shut up. You don't know anything. Isn't that true? But when they go to school, they've got somebody there who they have to look at, they respect them, that's the person who's educating them. So if that person is the educator, the best thing to do is give them the tools. Give them the instructions to be able to share with those kids so that they can work through the processes and mentor those children to another level. We have a program called Breaking the Silence. And what it's designed to do is to help those schools get a whole idea so that they can change gender stereotypes. Because if you think about it, if people have those stereotypes and they're all wrong and all mixed up, that can lead to that ultimate price, that violence, where somebody believes that they're in charge. We want to change the way that kids think before they get out into the real world. And the good thing about coming to a place like this, we're looking around at all your faces, you want to do something too, you want to change that. Well, if you think about something like Breaking the Silence, where you get smarter people than me and sometimes smarter people than you, going in and teaching those teachers how to be in charge and show the kids the tools and the skills, how they can change the way they feel about violence, about respect, about sexism. Well, isn't that great? And all you guys have to do is get out there and put your hand in your pocket or ask somebody else to add to the pot. We're going to restart in Queensland the Breaking the Silence program. And I'd like to thank all of you for being part of that.
Very powerful message there from Tim, from our Brisbane White Ribbon, and he, as he mentioned, that the schools program, Breaking the Silence in the School program, is going to be, taking on once again. And once again, wishing everyone all the very best.
रूप चतुर्भुज के दर्शन भी उनको दिए कराए बोले जब मैं जन्मूंगा सो जाए पहरेदार खुल जाएंगे द्वार सभी जो बंद बंद है कारागार, क्या करना है ये सभी श्री कृष्ण बताते।
And this is the outside where people are now all lining up and queuing up for the darshan or to take part in Krishna Janmashtami.
हे श्री कृष्ण भगवान हम करें तुम्हें प्रणाम।
हे श्री कृष्ण भगवान
हम करें तुम्हें प्रणाम।
Well, moving on, right now, let's take a look at some of the functions and events taking place here in Brisbane. And after that, we have a very special presentation today because it is also Chandana's and his birthday today. So first of all, let's take a look at Krishna Janmashtami celebrations that will be happening virtually by Divyajati. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this very, very special segment where we're going to be talking about something very, very important, very auspicious, and of course, very practical display, especially in today's day and age. With that, I'd like to welcome to the studios Sanjeev and Assis. Welcome to the studios. So as both of you are representatives of DJJS, for the benefit of our listeners, could you please briefly tell us about DJJS?
So, as Umeshi said, DJ...
And yes, of course, we know that they are from Divyajati Jagriti Sansthan, and of course they did a wonderful talk all on the virtual online Janmashtami, which will happen tonight.
Converted into Australian time will be 1:30 a.m. to 4:30, which will be like late or early morning 30th. And on 30th, which will be a suitable time, I think, for most of us, is 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. So I think 29th and 30th we are getting it on 2 days from 2:30 p.m. onwards. So that will be a very good time for everyone to tune in on YouTube at DJJS World, and do subscribe to the channel so that you get regular updates.
We are doing a huge celebration of Janmashtami on mass scale. There will be 3 hours program on Monday, but there will be 9 p.m. India time, and that will be 1:30 a.m. Australia time. So still, if people are, I think many people love it. Once they will see the first 2-day program, they don't want to miss the final session when the Lord Krishna is born, and I think really that will be treat to watch.
Okay, and thank you very much for that. As the timings are from India, so people will need to convert those time, as Assis has mentioned also, that this will be the timings here in Australia. And of course, being on Facebook and YouTube, it can also be viewed later on if someone does miss that. But watching it as it happens is another experience. I think that is the wonderful experience.
In Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra and Brisbane, we are 4.5 hours ahead from, and Tasmania as well, 4.5 hours ahead from India. So people can just calculate time according to the Indian time and Australian time.
Yes, and that program, make sure that we tune into to that. Well, right now let's look at some of the things that are happening here. Annual Vedanta Multicultural Show now on the 3rd of October, 5:30 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. So that's a wonderful program to be taking part in. And of course, there are now Arpan and Diwali. All of these functions which are going to be taking place. Let's go from the very beginning once again. So there we go, the Vedanta Center annual function. Then of course we have Arpan, which will be on 5th of September, and then we have Benyo Diwali, which is on 30th of October. Then the BSK Annual Cup, it is happening right now on every Sundays, and the Federation of Indian Communities of Queensland and their Diwali on 5th of November. And of course, India Day Fair this year, the actual celebration will be on 23rd of October at Suncorp Piazza. And Krishna Janmashtami, tomorrow, from 7 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. You can invite Krishna into your home, a great initiative by ISKCON. And of course, the Kairali Brisbane function on 11th of September. Then, of course, Mums United Seva, will show you that interview once again, maybe tomorrow. This is on the 19th of September at Emma Miller Park. And Rohani came in here in the studios and did a wonderful interview telling us all about Mums United Seva project. Mahasivratri Utsav at Sri Venteska Durga Temple, which is in Kenmo, and 7th till 15th of October. This year they've divided every day into suburbs, so people can book their pujas. So rather than missing out here and there, so they've gone and done a little bit of organizational charts by suburb by suburb. So I think the first day would be Brisbane Central, and we will be broadcasting live from there on the first day. And so here are the dates. You can check all of this out on our website as well. Bullerwood Dinner and Dance Fiji Indo Fusion this is once again happening on 4th of September. Please do support this Vedic cause as well. And our Interfaith Music Festival. It is good to see that there was the Raga based function on the weekend. Now Interfaith multi-faith music festival. So everything via music, which combines and binds everyone. The Grand Musical Night of Sargam Music Academy is now on the 13th of November. So there are the rest of the details there as well. Sri Krishna Janma Ashtami at Vishnu Maya Mandir. Well, of course, today 8 p.m. Because it will be celebrated with Kirtan, Sohar and Garba, then Bhog, Aarti and Mahaprasad. So, make sure that you attend this wonderful function, Krishna Janmashtami there today. Last function again to talk about is Simply Human, and they're celebrating Superheroes Without Capes. The new date now is 9th of October. Well, it happens to be the same date as that Interfaith music one. But what do you do? Because there are so many functions that had been postponed and all the venues are not always available on time. So, and that is why many times these functions and events do clash. Well, right now it's a happy birthday to Chandan Das.
बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, तू जिए हजारों साल, ये मेरी है आरज़ू.
And he's the man himself.
अरे दीवानो मुझे पहचानो, कहाँ से आया मैं हूँ कौन. अरे दीवानो मुझे पहचानो, कहाँ से आया मैं हूँ कौन. मैं हूँ कौन, मैं हूँ कौन, मैं हूँ मैं हूँ मैं हूँ कौन. मैं हूँ डॉन, मैं हूँ डॉन, मैं हूँ मैं हूँ मैं हूँ डॉन. अरे तुमने जो देखा है, सोचा है, समझा है, जाना है, ओ मैं नहीं, ओ मैं नहीं. लोगों की नजरों ने मुझको यहाँ जो भी माना है, ओ मैं नहीं, ओ मैं नहीं. आवारा बादल को, सौदा ही पागल को दुनिया में समझा है कौन. अरे दीवानो मुझे पहचानो, जहाँ पहचानो मैं हूँ डॉन. यारों का ओ यार हूँ, यारी में ये जान लुटा दे जो मैं हूँ वही, मैं हूँ वही। दुश्मन का दुश्मन हूँ, दुश्मन के छक्के छुड़ा दे जो मैं हूँ वही, मैं हूँ वही। तुम जानो ना जानो मैंने तो जाना है, महफिल में कैसा है कौन। अरे दीवानो मुझे पहचानो, जरा पहचानो मैं हूँ डॉन। अरे मैंने क्या सोचा है, क्या ख्वाब है मेरी आंखों में, तुम जानो ना, तुम जानो ना। मैंने भी बदला है क्या रंग बातों ही बातों में, तुम जानो ना, तुम जानो ना। चेहरे पे चेहरे है, पर्दे पे पर्दे है, दुनिया में समझा है कौन। अरे दीवानो मुझे पहचानो, जरा पहचानो मैं हूँ डॉन, मैं हूँ डॉन, मैं हूँ डॉन, मैं हूँ मैं हूँ मैं हूँ डॉन।
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have for you today, and wishing Chandanas a very, very blessed birthday. What a great day to be celebrating your birthday on Krishna Janam Ashtami. Well, until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me. Tomorrow we will bring to you glimpses of Rohani's from Mums United Seva Project, and we will be talking about that here as well. Well, it's been wonderful having your company on this very auspicious day, and also I'd like to congratulate many people who would be receiving their citizenship tonight at the Brisbane Convention Centre, organised by Brisbane City Council. Well, until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me. Make sure that you observe all the safety rules, stay safe, remain safe, and have a wonderful day.